Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Alfa Romeo. We're about to start our second season. Our first season went rather well. We ended up fifth, a single point ahead of Alpine, but still, we're pretty well considering, well, everything. We also do have a decent amount of cash in the bank with 31 million. So we have a very, very good starting point here for, well, next year. In terms of the driver championship, just a quick update here. Verstappen won, as he usually does, but it was pretty close here. Paris is just a little bit basically 27 points behind. So with that in mind, pretty close. We also have Leclerc here, just under 50 points behind. So we did have a bit of a closer fight here between the teams. Red Bull, of course, won both championships, but even so, a bit closer than what we used to, so we'll take that for sure. We did win DHL, which is also very nice. And with that in mind, we are just going to jump in a new season. If you have enjoyed the series, please do like and subscribe. If you haven't already, that helps me out a ton. Thank you very much. And as you can see here, we do have some new targets. So 2023 championship, we end up 8th in the drivers, 5th in constructors, and our new objective is 7th. So shouldn't be too difficult. The long-term objective here. Score podiums 25% season races. We scored 2 podiums this year. Well, a race win as well. But we still have a lot of time to get that done. We could switch teams, but we're just going to accept a new target here. Welcome to the new season. Sponsor obligations. As you can see, there's some that are just locked in. In this case, for this one here, we are going to put Bottas up for 22 races. We could do both, honestly, get a little bit extra cash, but we're going to put Bottas in for 6 million. It's a little bit extra cash, of course. We're going to be very happy with that. We're also going to do a little bit of merchandising. I think about 10 million should be good. So we'll do it like this. Now, the thing about the merchandising is that you pay a preseason cost, but then you get more income over the course of the season. So basically, I'm investing 11 million now, and we'll get about a little bit closer to 17 million back. Meaning that we make 5.6666666 double in terms of profit. So basically that is how it works. This is not how much money you get back in total. There's been a couple of questions on that on some earlier videos, so I thought I'd clarify this. You pay this, you get this for every race, and this is basically how much you make in a profit. So again, you do make a little bit of money from this, so we will go ahead and do that. In terms of the others here, as you can see, it's barely worth any money. So we really do not want to put any of these into our sponsorships. There's no point. And we'll go ahead and confirm this one. So preseason lump sum here, we'll get an additional 22 million, which is honestly okay because that basically means that the preseason lump sum will be covering our engine. So that works out pretty well. Season objective, 7th or above, shouldn't be a problem for us, honestly. The balance here is looking good, as I said, because we'll get the preseason lump sum, and everything should be good. Now, in terms of our research here, we didn't actually finish the chassis. We do lose a little bit of airflow, which is okay, it happens. In terms of the front wing, we made huge strides. Probably focused a little bit too much on that, but as you can see here, the airflow that we are mostly worried about. Huge boost to airflow sensitivity, airflow front, brake cooling. Definitely take this. In terms of the rear wing, we did actually do enough here to improve the airflow sensitivity. Drag reduction DRS delta has gone up as well, which should make our life a little bit easier come next season. And of course, the downforce boost here is also pretty massive. Remember that this is kind of huge. The side pods, we did manage to do them as well. The engine cooling booster will be nice. Drag reduction, 20% of airflow middle and front. The underfloor, we failed here with the airflow sensitivity, but the underfloor is already so, well developed that it shouldn't matter. We should be getting this airflow sensitivity from other parts like the front wing. And the suspension just barely managed to get the airflow done, but we get a little bit of brake cooling, a little bit of cornering, and a little bit of top speed here. So honestly, research-wise, we've done pretty well for the first season, considering that we also were rather competitive. So we'll definitely take this going into our next season here. terms of the financial side of things, the season price share has been changed, remember? As you can see, fifth position we usually got 65 million, we're just getting 58 now, so we've been cut off with, well, not 7 million, about 6.5, but even then, it's not great. They took my money. Sporting-wise, I don't think we have any massive changes here. Nope. I just had to remind myself. So yeah, no big here. In terms of the engine, we're currently running a Ferrari engine. Honestly, there's no problem running any engine in this game. The Merc is a bit slower than the others in terms of just pace, but it makes up, well, tries to make up for the durability. We could go, say, Renault here. Lacking a little bit more in the power department, the fuel efficiency, things like that. So, honestly, I usually don't have problems with fuel in this game, which is why I do enjoy the Red Bull one. It has a little bit more gearbox durability. Fuel efficiency is, of course, a bit of an issue. Thermal resistance is decent enough. So, yeah. Starts losing power a little bit earlier, but honestly, it's fine. The wear resistance is the lowest, so it does also degrade pretty quick. But I think we're going to be choosing the Red Bull engine because of mainly the fact that most of your acceleration comes from your engine, and Red Bull has the highest acceleration. But honestly, you can't really go wrong picking any of these three. They will do the job for you, to put it like that. Now, we could stick with the Ferrari engine because we are technically an Italian team, if you will. So, we could go ahead and do that. But I don't think it would go with Red Bull. The ERS durability is, of course, really, really nice. But I think we're just going to have to live with the pain, so to speak. So, yeah, we're going to head and take that. The starting balance there, as you can see, 29 million. Which isn't bad, let's be honest. We have 29 million now to develop a car, to upgrade potential facilities. Might want to, you know, get some upgrades done over the course of this season in terms of our car part test center, suspension, and of course also get the race sim and team hub upgraded. But now we actually are in a position where we can do that. The race sim in particular, you do want to upgrade because it has a huge effect on your weekly development for your drivers. Basically, the higher this is, the more points your driver will, the quicker your drivers will develop. This thing works the same just for your staff. So we do want to upgrade those. Now, honestly, we haven't built any of these because we don't feel like we need to. And as I said, we'll have a look here and see who might want to come to our team. Kadil is up for a free agent. While cheesy, I think it's a good idea that we try and pick him up. And it's going to cost us a little bit of money to replace our current crew chief, if you will. We'll try 3 million to start with, see how he feels about that. Give him 300,000 as a sign-on bonus. And this is something you can usually do at the start of your second season. There's a lot of people who will not re-sign contracts, and some of them are actually really, really good. And if you play your cards right, you'll be able to pick them up fairly cheap. Now, Kadil here is one of the top rated in this case, so he will demand a pretty hefty salary. As you can see here, we needed to go up to about 4 million, but you can probably get him 3.5, 3.3, a little bit lower than this, but at the same time, we are doing this mainly just so that we can get him easily. And let's be fair, paying 4 million for the boost that he gives is actually a pretty good deal, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. But there we go, Kadil is now part of the team. He understands underfloor, rear wings, and front wings the best, which is honestly what we are looking for in him. And we'll put him to work on the ground effect here, I think. We could, of course, put him on the downstream airflow, the grip and traction, but we're going to put him on the ground effect here until he maximizes the underfloor knowledge. Then we'll switch him to something else. Next up, we'll see if there's any heads of aerodynamics here that are interested in joining our team. There really isn't. Alessandro Zinelli here will be with us for another year. Most likely, we could try and kidnap Ian Grigg here. But a 4-point increase, while it will have an effect on our cars, I don't think it will be that important. So once again, as you can see here, Alan here is interested, but if we're gonna go ahead and switch him out, we want one of the top 3. So that is going to be the only change we do in terms of our staff. Now, drivers, we still have Show and Bottas for an additional season. We're going to see if we can potentially get Bottas a World Championship here before we kind of let him go. We're probably going to be upgrading. We're probably going to be promoting Porsche here next season at the latest. So that shouldn't actually be an issue. Now, in terms of what we want to level him in, he does have low overtaking stat. It's his lowest stat. And as you can see, lowest chance of causing a racing incident when they do. We are getting to a point, though, when our car doesn't really do a lot of overtakes. So we could go for, wheel to wheel. Guess his braking and control up, as well as his overtaking. We could go for race strategy here, which actually helps a lot of the affected skills, and we're gonna do that. It might not be the best idea here. Honestly, what I really would like to do is get his smoothness up, but his overtaking is so low that it does cause potentially a bit of a problem here. So we're actually gonna do driving standards. It's actually better than what I elected here with race strategy. It's also good, honestly. Yeah, let's do race strategy instead. While driving standards would be really nice because we get control overtaking, reactions, as well as defending. I think race strategy is going to be the better option. So yeah, that is going to be what we're doing. The plan here is, of course, to pick up a female driver further in. We can actually have a look and see if there's any good options right now. But yeah, the goal is for basically both these series at this point, to make a female champion. We might, if we win this season, jump ships, have female champion be Alpha Tower save, switch this one over to maybe a around the world concept. We'll see, because again, I do enjoy this a lot, but there is some limits to what we can do. Okay, free agent can race in F1. Cami Martina Schmidt, 60 average, 18 years old. First season. Could be a potential option there. So let's just get that. Let's just get that. What's it called? Scanning. But other than that, doesn't look like there are any huge talents. Well, that is probably the biggest talent that we're going to find, because again, pretty good overall, pretty young. Hajar here, pretty good as well, but not female, so that is actually a bit of a concern. But yeah, probably one of the better options that we'll find. Yeah, we'll have to see next year if there's any better ones, but literally at this point we can't really sign anyone. The only one that we might be able to sign would be but as I say, can't race in F1. We still need to wait one more season, basically. So we'll spend this season developing the car, and then we'll see what we do in terms of switching out drivers next year. So the internal car report is ready, but you need to take into mind that this is the 2023 car with all of its specializations in order. This is our car now with everything being balanced. And as you can see here, engine cooling, brake cooling, dirty air tolerance, both of these have gone up. We've lost a bit of high, medium, and low speed cornering. But again, specialization of parts were generally into the cornering department, so no big surprise there, really. In terms of DRS effectiveness, which has gone up a little bit higher, but 60 as a starting point is not bad, let's be honest. The acceleration's got a huge bump here, mainly due to a change in engine. And our top speed here has actually improved by a lot because we did sacrifice a lot of top speed last year from, well, generally just specializing into cornering, but also we have done a lot of research, so it's not a surprise that our new car is potentially very, very good. Driver development wise, the only one that has had some progress over the winter break here is actually the reserve, who will be heading to greener pastures, unfortunately, but that is fine. Is that his stats? Oh, yeah, that's his stat. I had to check it that this wasn't Pocher stats somehow. So, regulation changes in effect. The season price share, as I said, will have a little bit less money. We should still be getting 65 million because, well, it was, it will be changing it for the following season, and that should be okay. But yeah, I would think at least. Car development is open, ATI is open. We'll have a look at that once we actually, you know, get into it. Pit crew performance. We haven't really graded much by the looks of this. So let's just jump in here and get them their schedules. So as you can see in this case, we still are pretty slow. We are pretty high chance of a mistake here. So for now, we're going to go back to just focusing on the time for a little bit. I know that this is probably a bit of a silly decision from me, but I do want to get those pit stop times down. And the best way to do that is just gym training. So for this first month, gym training, get it down. But then again, we are pretty close to that sub 2-second mark. We need about 2/10. So it shouldn't take too long until we actually do have a fairly, you know, decent pit stop time. So it's not actually a huge concern. While it is a bit of a concern in terms of the error chance, it is something that we can deal with. And over the course of the season, we're basically going to get that error chance down to close to 0 again. Now, the error chance now is skyrocketing because we are getting into exhausted territory. So don't worry about what you're seeing down the bottom right. We still have 50 days until, you know, until race day. But honestly, the fact that I can tell every member of my big routine that, oh, you're going to be spending a whole month in the gym, 2 sessions a day. Come back swole or don't come back at all is kind of funny, honestly. So once again, I have forgotten to mute my phone. Apologies. But yeah, the fact that we can just send them to the swole camp for a month is kind of interesting, kind of fun. But yeah, in terms of what we want to develop now on the car, we can actually start doing some pretty interesting things. So we have 53 days now until we get to the first race. So what we're going to do here is actually not invest anything in the chassis yet, but as you can see, the airflow starts at a low 40%. That's not high. That's not high at all. Now, I was going to talk about how they changed the lifespan, but I think that would be better to do it in the Alfa Romeo video, because we should have parts that were made before the lifespan change. That will make it easy to explain. But generally, some parts have had their lifespan changed. Some has a longer lifespan. Some has a short lifespan. In particular, front wings now can fail after just one race weekend. So they did make a bit of a change there, which we'll have a look at in the AlphaTauri save. Probably tomorrow or the day after, we'll have to see. Now we are going to go with, again, a cornering concept. It is just the best option that we do have. We are going to lose a little bit of top speed, but that is okay. It's a sacrifice we want to make. Same way for the engine cooling. We can get that back on a part that is far more effective at it, the side pods. And as you can see right now, our car isn't, you know, rated highly. And that is, again, because of the specializations we did last year. But by making this chassis alone, we're going to be jumping up quite drastically because it does give us a huge amount of high and medium speed cornering ability. And we are going to go ahead here and put 6 engineers on this project. We are going to rush it. Now, why would I do this? Well, because it takes 2 weeks to get the chassis done, it means that we have plenty of time to put in another project here. And generally, if you want to go for expertise gains, you wouldn't actually do this. We'd probably want to actually slow it down as much as possible. But we're going to rush this one so we can try and get every part out before that first race. Going to be a little bit more kind of specialized. It's going to cost us, of course, extra money, but in this case, it's fine. We're also going to go ahead here and design those the side pods, but before that, an underfloor. We could, of course, also put in the CFD and wind tunnel time into this underfloor, because we're still lacking in mainly the airflow sensitivity department. But even if we put in all of our CFD time here, it won't have a huge amount of effect on the cornering abilities. So we might actually put the wind tunnel allows into something else, like suspension. Suspension is actually a pretty good option this year. But as you know, for the underfloor here, we do just keep it kind of balanced. We could sacrifice a little bit of the dirty air tolerance if we really wanted to. Could increase the drag reduction too. But I think we're just going to keep it balanced. Now, specializing this one would be more effective, but it's just a nice little boost to work out from. And the fact that we aren't losing too much drag reduction here would actually help. But we're going to actually sacrifice the drag reduction. The dirty air cornering too. Again, cornering is just the best thing to focus on, which is kind of silly to say, but it's true. So we're going to sacrifice top speed again for cornering ability, because until we are actually the best, it doesn't actually matter how high our top speed is. So we'll do this. It should work. Now, 43 days until we get this done is perfectly okay. Can put an extra engineer on it so we get it for both cars, but we're probably going to need that engineer elsewhere. So we'll do it like this. Just the underfloor. Just going to double check it that we didn't use CFD time. We didn't. With that, we can get the underfloor out of here. Now, we do want to actually make the suspension this time before we get started. But at the same time, Cycles here, we're probably going to make those outside chassis and just kind of rush them too. So we're probably going to try and get the suspension and front wing done before this race. As long as we have rear wing before Baku, we'll usually be fine. But in terms of what we can do with the rear wing, we're of course going to maximize it into what we usually do, which is top speed here. 16% extra in terms of the DRS effectiveness. Now, what I could do here, if I really wanted to, is actually put in CFD and wind tunnel hours. And the reason why you want to put it into, say, the rear wing here rather than something else is that not only does it boost the characteristics we like here, in this case, the top speed DRS, we'll get a bit of a cornering buff as well. And because we have reverted to how the sign was when the game came out, it means that these sliders doesn't mean anything. We're still going to get progress in all three of these downforce stats, as well as the airflow sensitivity. And the question that I have is basically, do I want to put it into the suspension, or do I want to put it into the rear wing? Because this is the only ATI period we're probably going to be putting into the car. The rest is going to go into research. Now, if you want to have a balanced game with the AI, you're probably going to need to just use 2 slots for research throughout the course of the season. So we are kind of breaking the game in terms of progression because of the way that we do a lot of research projects. But research is genuinely the best way, I think, to just develop your car. And that kind of shows. But yeah, this is basically what we're going to do for our front wing. Sorry, not front wing. Front suspension. A huge amount of brake cooling, low speed cornering, medium speed cornering. Top speed. We are probably going to use the CFD time here, honestly. It's either this or the rear wing. But, yeah, I'm a little bit undecided still. But I think this is a good option for us, if you will. So we're just going to run normal. In theory here, running it intense would be better. But we'll just run normal for now. It's okay. I am kind of slowing things down a little bit, just about. But it's not massively slowing things down. Brake cooling, we can sacrifice it again on this part. The front wing, that is, because, well, we don't need it, so to speak. We are going to get more than enough from that suspension we just started. So sacrificing 2% is okay. The dirty air tolerance is a bit of a concern, I will admit. we're actually going to put the medium here down to the minimum because it alleviates a little bit of losses that we get elsewhere too. So that is fine. But yeah, this is going to boost our low speed quartering. This in can, this with the suspension should do most of that work for us. And everything should be okay. The dirty air tolerance here is still going down. We're probably going to end up being one of the worst teams at it. But dirty air tolerance is basically just how easily you can get closer to and overtake the car in front. It's going to be very important for tracks where you can't really overtake. But we're planning on, putting ourselves into a position where we don't really have to do that. And that is the idea here. We could put an extra engineer on this project because it is, well, the final project. And we'll just do that. We'll lose a little bit of, the expertise investment as a result. But it's okay. The chassis is going to be done in 14 days, then we're probably going to just rush the side pods, and then we'll get the rear wing hopefully done in time for, well, a race further down the line. But I think everything is done now. I think I've explained my stance here pretty well, hopefully. So, we'll probably do a little bit later on, a bit more of a restricted save, where we'll be trying to put together basically some restrictions that make progress a little bit harder for us. I scrolled a little bit too quick here, but we'll be going through the team roster updates. Sainz and Leclerc, Ferrari, Verstappen, Perez, and Red Bull. No real changes here. Italian Jesus has been put in as a reserve. Stroll, Alonso, Russell Hamilton, no change. No change. No change, I believe. Tsunoda and Williams. That's going to be interesting, honestly. That might be really interesting to watch. Hulkenberg, Magnussen still in Haas. Piastri Norris still here. Rick has been picked up by AlphaTauri. De Vries is still in the car. So yeah, Tsunoda moving over to Williams instead of Sargent. That's going to be a bit of an interesting one, but it's also the only roster update that we have. Cadillo has low morale immediately, which should probably just get used to that message, to be fair. Martina Schmidt here is probably going to be somewhere, as I said, I'm looking out for. Should probably just wait for this to have a look. Flörsch is another potential candidate. We have a couple of candidates right here too, but they are very low rated at 48 and 49, so they're going to be hard to raise. But, as I said, we have options, and that is what matters. We're going to deny any more race hospitality events. They don't pay enough for us to really matter. So, generally, I just remove obligations if I can. I would add to driving media appearance if I could, but, well, we have kind of done everything we can there. Now, the design has been completed with the chassis, so we're just going to go ahead and manufacture it right away. And we're probably not going to make any other chassis in the near future, so we're just going to make 4 of it right away. To be fair, though, we're just going to put 2 on the in the oven, if you will, because, well, it takes time to manufacture, and come day before the race there, we're going to need a lot of manufacturing slots. Right now, the amount of slots that we have are 3, but we are upgrading, I believe, our factory, so we should have 4 in about a month. So it's not really something we need to stress about, but I'll just do 2 for now, and then once we get closer, we can make more of a decision on how we want to, distribute the slots. As I said here, we also do want to make a side pod, one focused on engine cooling and basically airflow middle. Again, this is more of a, standard setup. Gives us a lot of engine cooling, gives us a little bit of cornering, a little bit of acceleration. We do lose a little bit of top speed again, but again, the top speed isn't that much of a concern in this game. As long as you have your cornering ability, it can more than make up for the top speed that you would otherwise be able to reach. But yeah, this seems to be a good compromise. We're once again going to rush this piece a little bit, but we aren't going to be putting it onto rushed. We're just going to put engineers on to work here. 24 days, that should be good. And after this, we're probably going to be slowing down our progression somewhat. So as you can see, in a month's time, we're going to need basically 4 slots if you want to be able to make all these pieces before that first race. So, I think we are, as I said, looking pretty good here. Looking pretty stable. And the Science Center improvement has run out of juice. Remember, we picked this up last year where we got a little bit extra first capacity, engineering capacity, effectiveness. You haven't actually seen this, and the reason for that is actually very simple. Because of the condition of design center having dropped below the maximum, you don't actually get the extra project capacity and engineer capacity unless you have your design center in good condition. So, while this could have been amazing for the start of the season, because of that issue, basically that I didn't refurbish it, which honestly was a bit of a mistake. Refurbishing your design center could actually be really, really key, particularly if you have events like that one. Even if we had started refurbishing it, would take a while, so we didn't. Let's be honest there. Now, what I am going to do, though, is because we basically caught up. We want to set about 10 million aside for development, just to be on the safe side. Excuse me. Is that we do want to start upgrading our other facilities. In this case, Race Sim, Team Hub. The quicker we get these up to, well, standard, the better. Particularly now that we're starting to pick up staff that are, you know, higher rated. Should actually start upgrading that a little bit earlier because it's pretty cheap. But I didn't, and we're going to have to deal with that. Scouting is complete. Let's see what we are looking at here in terms of performance. Very balanced, lacking a bit of control, lacking a lot of overtaking, so we still have a lot of work to do here. But yeah, potentially a candidate. We'll see in a couple of seasons or years, because she needs to still get 2 seasons in F2 before we can potentially pick her up. Driver development update, show here, gets a point in braking. Good. Smoothness and defending up for Theo here, so he's already getting some work in on his side. And I think that we're going to focus on pit stop errors here with a bit of a... We could go balanced focus, but we could also go just straight up. They actually are going to be exhausted here. And the reason for that is very simple. These calendars that the AI set up doesn't actually take into consideration that your crew might already be pretty tired going into the month. But they seem to be far more exhausted than what I'm used to. But again, don't take that too hard. It's basically just that because we just had a patch with some unofficial patch notes, I am looking for changes, but because of that, you can actually sometimes see changes where there aren't any. So keep that in mind. We might be seeing ghosts in this case. Okay, so this gives us a little bit of a boost here to our training stats, which is okay. We do need to get this error chance down. But sometimes 2074 is not great either, but it's better at this stage to get the error chance down a little bit, I think. So we're just going to do this. It's going to be pretty basic trading, to be fair. But we're going to kind of need to because we have basically pushed our pit crew into, you know, a very, very tired territory to the point where they even aren't fully rested before the race beginner either. So this is basically all that we can do at this stage. Chassis have been completed for now, though. With the fact that we are going to have 4 slots coming in within 10 days, we could do this one. It would delay the underfloor by a day, but I think we're going to do that. Basically, while it will delay the underfloor by a day, it will allow us to have an extra chassis for the foreseeable future. And again, with the changes to lifespan, that generally been that we're going to need more parts. We're going to need to actually have a little bit of a larger stock here. So Martina here has actually been asked for a sponsorship, so we'll do that. It's kind of interesting that we had a look at her, and then immediately we get asked if we want to sponsor. Sideboards have been completed. Let's see if we can manufacture them in time. 8 days. We're going to have to rush one if we want to get them done for both cars. But remember, qualifying is on Saturday. This is Friday. So this should actually be okay. So we'll just do it like this. Worst case scenario, we'll just have one piece, one car ready. And we're just immediately going to go ahead here and design that rear wing. Although, as we all know, it's going to be a pretty simple thing where we focus on top speed and DRS effectiveness. Shouldn't come as a surprise. We're probably going to put a safety period into the rear wing if we can. But we'll have to see. In terms of when to get this done, we could, of course, rush a little bit, have it out before Melbourne. And that's what we'll do. We'll put 2 engineers on it. We'll have it done before at Melbourne. Give ourselves a little bit of a boost there as well. But we'll still run just normal. There's no need to really super rush there, if you will. Let's see. We have started manufacturing. Everything is in order. Suspension has been completed. Suspension design, that is. And we're just going to go ahead and manufacture it right away. And in this case, if we want to get it done in time for the race, we're going to have to do one normal and the second rushed. So we're probably going to do that. It's going to be a little bit of a cost, but it's one that we can bear. And honestly, I think it's okay to do that. In terms of what we want to design next, I think we're just going to do just a bog standard chassis. And because we aren't planning on using this one, we can just keep it balanced. The goal here is basically just increasing our expertise a little bit. So the best thing it would do be to put it on intense, but normal is also fine here. That's what we'll do. Factory has been upgraded, which is kind of perfect timing here for us. Front wing has been completed as well. And with that, we're just going to do the same thing that we did with other piece here. But I believe I did put in safety time into the suspension, so we should actually make a new one. I am a little bit woozy, so I think I'm starting to get sick, which is a bit unfortunate, but we'll deal with that as we go. This is going to be what we do. It's going to be a massive boost here, as you can see. Remember, we get about 8% with the earlier edition. But with this edition, we're actually going to get quite a bigger boost. Now, we could actually maximize the lifespan here if we really wanted to. It wouldn't be a terrible idea. We'll lose a little bit of cornering, mostly on the high-speed department. But we will be saving a lot of money in the long run doing this, honestly. Because again, this one only has a kilogram. It's basically a kilogram of extra weight, which isn't a massive amount. So if we do this, it will allow us to play it a little bit safer with how we do things. So yeah, is it great though? Let's be honest. It's still going to be better than the one that we put on, but it's also going to boost us pretty aggressively here for everything else. So I think we can do this. Lifespan. Keep in mind though that with crashes, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to survive long enough. So I think we're just going to put it to a minimum here. And we'll just have to make those extra parts if we really want to. But yeah, if we get into trouble later on in the season, we can change our design philosophy. In terms of rushing this before Melbourne, we could. But again, this is more of a smaller update, so I think we're just going to keep it as is for now. It should be okay. The underfloor upgrade is completed. Factory upgrade is completed. Just going to double check it that we have everything that we need. Suspension sidepod chassis. And the underfloor will be done in 2 days. So yeah. I do still feel like I've forgotten something. Oh yeah, the front wing. We do need to manufacture that as well. That makes more sense. So we're just going to manufacture 4 of them normally. Although to be fair, we probably do want to have 6. Gives us a little bit more of a... little bit more to go on. If that is okay. Give me just a second here. I'll be back quite soon. I'm getting a phone call. Apologies. Okay, let's get back into it. We do have some development here, but I think we're now caught up on the parts that we need to manufacture. Development-wise, it's again one of those a bit of harder choices. The front wing here still needs a little bit of work, to be fair. But the question now is, do we want to save a little bit of time, potentially, or do we want to invest a little bit more of the CFD here? In terms of cost, I think the best here is just to do side pods slowly, which is what we'll do. We'll make it balanced. We could, of course, specialize it, and that would actually be the best thing to do. Specialize it and then replace the parts going forwards. That would be the min-max thing to do. But for now, we'll just do it normally, keep them balanced so that we
you kind of keep things in order, if you will. Now, the hard parts development here is that, sorry, the manufacturer is that this chassis needs to be done before we can make the underfloor, like so. And we'll have a look here now on what we can be looking at for said underfloor. We're also going to rush a suspension, probably. The underfloor takes 7 days. Even if we were to rush it, we are just barely going to be able to get in time. So we'll just make 4 of them normally. I think it's going to be the play here. Which means that Joe, most likely, is not going to have that new underfloor. But that is honestly perfectly okay. It is something that we can manage just fine. Suspension has been manufactured. What we are going to do, though, is going to give him a suspension that we're going to rush to get it done in time. Because the upgrades now is actually going to be done before the race. But yeah, we'll just rush that one suspension. It's going to cost a little bit extra money, of course. Team Hub has been upgraded. I think we're actually going to go ahead here and just upgrade it again. Because we have kind of reached a development zone, development cycle now. Where we're going to be able to, just make things happen. Again, our car is very poorly rated right now, but that is because we're lacking specialization. And once we get specialization of parts done, we are going to be looking a lot better. Now, the race sim here, upgrading it to level 5 is potentially on the table. It's going to cost 8 million. And if we do it right now, it is going to put us into a bit of a awkward situation financially. But it should be okay, honestly. We should have about, well, the race money for one. But it's not long until the month ticks over. So, while this is way closer to death than I usually, like to be, it is a risk that we're going to take here. Although, as a result, I could technically get fired if I'm really unlucky during this race weekend. Qualifying position streak, let's say 1 driver in top 5 for 5 races. Be a little bit aggressive with that. I have faith in the car. Fastest lap, we'll try and snatch that as well. Reach Q2, Q3. We'll be a little bit tentative here, but I think we can have both cars reach Q3, even though one of them is going to be lacking a part. And with that, let's jump into the race weekend and have a bit of a look.
Here we go.
Sorry,
folks.
we're actually going to go back if we can. Give me a second. Because I didn't actually upgrade the car before the race weekend, so we can try and jump back and save. Okay, I was actually allowed to jump to before the race weekend. But if I'm not mistaken here, my money did change, which is kind of concerning. But yeah, we're just going to set this up again really quick, because mainly here, what we're going to do here is we're not even going to do this. What we're going to do is that I saved into the race weekend. We're just going to put the parts in the car, have a look. And then we're going to go back to that other save that I had during the race weekend. That'll make sure that everything is just the same and that we don't get into an issue with that. So it's my fault for going a bit too quick, honestly. It is something that does happen, particularly when I'm not feeling well, because my head is kind of everywhere. And it makes me want to move forwards a little bit quicker than I probably should. But as you can see, the only thing we're currently lacking on car 1 is that rear wing. So we'll have a look now and see just how well do we stack up against the other cars. The chassis here is a pretty sizable upgrade to both medium and high-speed cornering ability. It has a huge effect. Front wing here gives us basically a huge amount of low speed, a little bit of dirty air tolerance, a little bit of... Sorry, the minus is what we're interested in here because we put it on. We do lose that, but that's fine. Side pods here, again, it's mainly just cornering ability, which we'll take. The extra engine cooling is nice as well. The underfloor, again here, cornering ability mainly. And the suspension is the same. Cornering ability with a little bit of brake cooling. So, I think we can be happy with that. Let's have a look at car analysis here now. We are the best car in terms of cornering. We're the worst car in terms of top speed. So we might want to start diversifying a little bit of parts, say making parts that are a little bit better in the top speed department, depending on how far we're ahead of the rest of the teams. The RS effectiveness needs some work, but that we can fix with just specialized rear wing. Dirty air tolerance ain't great. Neither is engine cooling, but excuse me, we are getting there. Now, we still have 50% dirty air, which isn't bad, but it's not great either. We have cut off a bit of top speed here. We're about 2 kph slower than the grid average. Brake cooling 60 and engine cooling at 60 means that we can potentially sacrifice a little bit more of both of these if we really need to. But at the same time, this car is really, really good. If we compare it to the Red Bull last season, you can see that they have us beat just about these stats almost 3 kph on us. But at the same time, we have them somehow beaten engine cooling. They actually have one of the worst DRSs, so I don't know what is going on here. I would assume they haven't actually made a DRS for this year, if you will. Ferrari, on the other hand, way quicker than us. Way, way quicker, to the point where we might need to actually focus a little bit top speed. But what we're mainly interested in here is cornering ability. And as you can see, we do have not a sizable gap, but we do have a gap which could potentially translate into victory. Here are our results after Q1. And I'd say this is pretty promising. Second for Valtteri here. Again, this is Q1, not Q3. But I thought we'd have a bit of a look at this here. Because again, it's just a simple 2-runner. And also, I did mention this a little bit in the other playthrough. But we did have a look now, seeing how, effective the 2-run strategy is. It seems to be nerfed pretty heavily, honestly, because the way that, well, it's not really nerfed, because the way that the AI will now push properly on that first lap, they tend to use a little bit more energy, and as a result, if you do 2 flyers back to back, you usually will not have enough energy once you get to the final sector of your second lap, which is understandable. But yeah, it has been fixed. Usually you could get a few 10s at Bahrain. Can't really do that no more. Can't do it with show either. And once again, we're seeing that we're losing time in the final sector mainly. So the 2-runner has probably been kind of taken out, kind of nerfed a little bit hard. You do probably want to do now just the simple 1-run, and maybe send your car out for, say, 3 runs instead. It's going to be the play here. So we'll see what we want to do. 2-run, it can still work as just a initial confidence builder. It'll still do a great job of that. But in terms of lap times, doing 1 runs out is probably going to be your best bet in terms of quality, which honestly is how it's supposed to be. But again, it is just it's a fix. Let's put it like that. They fixed the game, and it nerfed the strategy that was very, very cheesy, to put it into perspective. So it's fine, honestly. Hopefully, we'll have other fixes like it in the future. Right, qualifying is done. Bottas held up here a little bit in Q3. Got beat by 9 thousandths for Paris, but we did manage the objective here, which was top 5 or above. 5th and 6th, we have to be happy with this. The only thing we're beat by here is the Red Bulls and the Ferraris. Hamilton 7th, Aston Martin in 8th and 9th, and then we have Albon. So Merc kind of already kind of pulling down here. I'm looking forward to seeing the Williams in their development, how they're going to be looking towards the end of the season for sure. But yeah, looks like Merc is going to potentially be falling off in this save too, unfortunately. But yeah, times here for the 1-runners were about the same as we saw in that first run. So 1 run for quality might very well be your best option now. In terms of pre-race report here, Bahrain, the softs here are the clear winner, a 10th advantage, 400s quicker, meaning they are better for a good 20 laps. Hards here are also, again, about the same, about 20 laps of time difference. So if you take that into consideration, we do want to use a strategy that employs softs as much as possible. And it is kind of possible to do this. We can actually go full attack with all since we really want to. But I think we're going to do this. It's a bit more peaceful, if you will. As you can see, even if we do this, it's going to basically save us a second at most. And we lose a lot of potential flexibility. We could also, if we really wanted to, do something a little bit cheekier. Say something like this. Which is also potentially an option. But time-wise, it wouldn't make any sense. So the strategy here is going to be very simple. We start in the mediums, and because, well, we can stay out longer for one, but also because it'll allow us to hopefully stay with the quicker cars in front, and then we can do some jumps during the pit stops. Now remember, we're still going to have pretty bad pit stop times here at about 15 seconds. Sorry, not 15 seconds. 15% chance of making an error. So we're still not looking very, very good in that regard. Car setups are nice. Everything's looking good here. Let's see if we can have both Bottas and Show get something done. We almost did send Bottas out there on the wrong tire, which would be hilarious. But in this case, luckily enough, we realized the error and didn't do that. So let's get this started. Go to Bahrain. See if we can pull something off.
And this is it. The Bahrain Grand Prix.
So we're starting third row. There's some soft runners in front of us. Science is unused. Same for Hamilton. Same for Russell. But generally, it's going to be a bit of an interesting one here. Bottas is already kind of fighting with Leclerc here. And I'd say this is a very acceptable start. Show has retained his position. Bottas has regained one. Not regained, he's gained one. So, I'd say that's acceptable. Russell has been in a bit of an incident though. Turn 1, basically. Well, not turn 1. Turn 3. Russell ends up touching the Aston there a bit.
Overtake is available.
Looks like both Astons are fine though. Yeah. Both Astons are fine. Didn't really have an effect on their cars at all. But yeah, looks like we had a bit of a good start here. You can actually see the Red Bull top speed there. Perez being able to just launch an attack on the straight. He also does have better tires than us, so it's not actually a big surprise that he's able to overtake us like that. It's actually perfectly fine. But once, again, the AI starts cooling down a little bit and not pushing as aggressively, that is when we are going to be able to make our move. We are kind of falling behind here, which again, AI pushing does lead to that outcome. Stroll running a bit wide there is actually good for us, creates a bit of a gap there for the RS trains. So the question now is, are Bottas and Stroll going to be able to actually keep up with the cars in front? That's going to be the deal. We're tuning both of them down to rally defend, because I don't think Hamilton is going to be a bit of a problem here. And the only thing that we're going to be seeing... That's my bad. The only thing that we're going to be seeing is basically our own teammates overtaking each other for the most part. So it's not actually a problem here, just tuning them down. It's actually for the best if we do. And these mediums here can run to 135 degrees, so it's still way off maximum. But I wouldn't be too concerned about the tire heat either in this case. But yeah, for now, the goal is just to run with the quick and medium runners. Again, they do have a huge advantage on this stint. So honestly, as long as we stay with them, I'd say this is a double win, a W for us. We are going to tune down the fuel usage here a tad earlier because we kind of have to. And for now, we're just going to allow things to progress until we get to that first pit stop of ours. Pit stops have started for soft runners. In other news, Bottas and Show have both put in some good work here. They're up into second and third. We still have Perez though. Perez actually did pit just about now onto another set of softs. So we still have to contend with him, but at the current stage, honestly, we have a pretty decent, we're in a pretty decent position here. Tire-wise though, it's not looking amazing, but it's not looking bad either. Bottas getting into a potential, position to attack Verstappen. Show is switching a little bit back and forth here with Leclerc, but honestly, it's not a big concern. We'll take that. Multiple cars have crashed. Is this going to be just a yellow flag, or is it going to be a safety car? Let's see what happened. Piastri and a Merc. Okay. That's just a slight touch. Shouldn't be anything more drastic than that. But yeah. We can see other cars are pitting, but as I said, we're going to be pushing these mediums into the abyss. That's the best way to describe it. We're going to be pushing them as far as we can. And to be fair now, Bottas is actually making headway on his medium stint versus Verstappen's, soft stint. Now, in terms of when we pit and where we get out, it's not going to be pretty, most likely. But at the same time, most cars are pitting. We'll see Alonso pit. We'll see, you know, Gasly pit, Tsunoda pit. And as we have more and more cars pitting, it should create some nice gaps for us to come out right now. But we have Verstappen and the two Ferraris running together. Perez has done a massive, you know, jump here because he pitted early. And that is basically what we'll be seeing towards the end. We'll be getting some pretty nasty jumps on the rest of the teams. And that is kind of what the goal is here. Now we're going to be pitting Bottas this following lap. And we're going to be pitting Show the lap after. So we're going to, in case we have an error here, we do have the gap to, you know, double stack. But we're pitting them one at a time, just to be on the safe side in case, as I said, we end up with a pit stop error. Now, the second thing here that we need to be a little bit concerned about is going to be, are we going to be pulling the other cars with us? We've had yet another incident. Hamilton in this case.
And the impact on
That's
the car,
a
it's
bit of
quite
a
clear.
nasty
I would
whack
be
to the front wing.
surprised if there were a few words exchanged.
Probably going to need to pit there. He's lacking, lost about half of it there on one of the sides. But yeah, no biggie. Show comes out behind Ocon and Tsunoda, so you can see that he has lost out massively on just that one lap to Bottas. So going long here, we'll have to see if it actually pays off in the long run. For Show though, it shouldn't have any problems overtaking either Ocon or Tsunoda here. They're both on old mediums. Show did kind of lose out there into that first corner, but made up for it down the straight. And we will be tuning him down to aggressive now. He should also be clearing Ocon here really, really easily. So, honestly, I don't think we have too much here to be concerned about. Yeah, as you can see, clears him. The thing that we do want to avoid now is actually pushing them along, pulling them along. But with the gaps being created here, he should be able to just pull out of DRS range within this next lap. Bottas is also catching up on the cars in front by, well, a decent margin. So the only concern is getting by the Ferrari Red Bull party here, and then Bottas will be looking good too. We are running aggressive, mainly due to, you know, to make sure that we can make this work. We can switch it up to attack. Probably within the next 8 or so laps, make this work for, as you can imagine, going full attack for the last 6 or so. Maybe even before that. We'll have to have a look at just how the degradation does behave for us. Now, Shoei, I can probably go full attack a little bit sooner, lap 32, 33, and have no problem because he pitted later. Now, Bottas has actually reached the Ferrari Red Bull party, and the goal here is, of course, going to be to overtake as quickly as possible. Get a move done immediately there, which is very, very nice. Gonna potentially have to sit here for a little bit and harvest, which isn't the best scenario, but it should make overtaking a lot easier. Because even with DRS here, we're not going to have enough speed to do a 2-man overtake. That's just not going to happen. So, we did get an overtake done in this section last time around, basically into this corner, kind of like Alonso did in reality. But this time around we can't get it done because the Red Bull and the Ferrari is battling. And that is kind of the main concern that we have with overtakes is battles causing problems. Magnussen with a bit of a lockup, that's not actually a problem for us. So yeah. We'll have to see how we do this in terms of getting overtake done. We might just have to go full on attack to pull it off. But right now, Sainz is falling backwards compared to Verstappen. If he keeps up the defense up here and slows down a bit more, we might be given a golden chance at getting just straight up a DRS overtake. Right now, though, he is staying within range of Verstappen, which isn't the best thing ever. Both of them are on medium tires. So what I'm thinking here is that we give Bottas the attack, because there is a gap now to exploit between the two cars. And we could also tune him up to high overtake aggression. Because, let's face it, at this stage, it's not actually concerned. He has very high confidence. We can potentially do the same here for Show. It is a bit more risky, though, to go full-on attack on the overtakes. So, couldn't get this done. We're probably going to have to recharge for a lap or so. Try again. But yeah, right now we are losing time being stuck behind other cars. And as you can see, the show is actually reeling us in as a result there. Hamilton goes off the track with a bit of a spin there. Not really having a good race at all. Been a couple of incidents, been a bit of trouble. But this might be... That could have been the moment, honestly. Let's give him deployer. There we go. It was the yellow flag as we overtook, though, but that was luckily Tsunoda causing problems, not any of ours. And Bottas now should have no problem overtaking Verstappen. This is a dangerous corner to overtake in, though. So I'm just happy it didn't actually cause any issues. Now, pulling Verstappen alongside us isn't, necessarily a good thing. So what we're going to do is just harvest for a couple laps. We are getting close to the point now where we can go full attack. We'll do it for show. And what I'm thinking is that we harvest for a lap or two with Bottas, and then we're going to do the same for him. Go full attack, try and pull away from Verstappen at least before we do our final pit stops. We do have a lot of free air, a lot of free room now to work with. So it's not really a huge concern. Excuse me. Okay, let's put him up to neutral. Battery is full. Put him up to attack. And we're just going to go very aggressive now until the end of the stint. Now, the goal is going to be to just fly by. And then hopefully pull out of any DRS before the main straight. Basically this section point right here. We did not pull that off. Worse, I think we actually gave all of them a little bit of a boost there. But we should be able to pull away before we get to this section point. We have better cornering, which should be massively, affecting that. And we might even clear Paris at this rate before we do our final pit stop. So yeah, looking good. Paris does now pit. And I'm a bit unsure what he needs to go on to. So we'll have a bit of a look here. Paris is on the mediums. Meaning that for the final stint, we'll have a huge advantage once we actually do pit, because we'll be running that entire thing on attack. Now, degradation-wise, Bottas ain't looking too swell, but that is mainly because he's been running behind other cars. Extra heat from other cars is potentially pretty detrimental here. So, just have to deal with that as we go. I think we are going to be pitting him this lap, though. Probably run a lap or two just an aggressive, get a little bit extra durability to play with. For sure, we're going to do the same thing we did last time around, where we do the next lap pitting. But he is up into 4th. He is running in a good position here. Let's see where Bottas actually comes out. He should be coming out... He actually comes out ahead of Perez, potentially, yeah? Oh, just behind. But yeah, as I said, we are going to have to get by Perez pretty rapidly. And also pull away from DRS. For show's sake, yeah, basically. If we want Show to have a good race, we are going to need to get away from Paris, because Paris is the leader right now. And Show is pitting, it's going to come out behind Leclerc. But still have a bit of a good gap here to play with. Now Bottas is straight up fighting already with the man, with Paris. And that isn't actually a problem, although he did let him go very easily there. I want to see what happened.
Now this is Sergio Perez. It's certainly inviting.
Did he run him a bit wide? Because it looked like Bottas had to slow down. Yeah, run him a little bit onto the... not the grass per se, but the run up there. We didn't get the overtake done in time, which is also a concern. Because again, what we need to do here is get the overtake done, and then push, fully attack it, get away from him. Which is going to be a bit of a challenge, honestly, no matter how I look at this. Mainly because we don't have the energy to pull this off. We do jump Verstappen though. Might just need to recharge here for a lap or two to get this done. And then we're going to have to pull away in this section, because this is where we get the most time. It's going to be a bit wonky, no matter how we look at it here. put Bottas back to neutral. Show is doing well, but Verstappen has now pitted onto his own set of softs. Same for Leclerc. So for Show, just have to push the best that he can. Unfortunately here, Sainz decides to be a bit of a blocker. We've had another incident with Norris and a Mercedes. They really are not having a good start to the season. Yeah, not a good one. But let's face it, been a lot of yellow flags, but no big incidents so far. But for Show here, he should just, again, I would assume fly by. But that Ferrari is kind of parked perfectly in the middle of center track, so to speak. Meanwhile, while I haven't been paying attention, Bottas has actually pulled away from Paris. I would assume a back marker did kind of give us a helping hand there. But yeah, Show is not... It's not budging. He can't get by Sainz. We're going to tune him up to... I would like to tune him up to high, but his confidence isn't the greatest right now. And that is actually a concern. If confidence is low, I don't want to put in any extra risk. Let's put it like that. Now, we can run an attack until the end, but Sainz is, of course, going to be a bit of a troublemaker, if you will. So we're just going to deploy here. We are going to take advantage of the fact that we are ahead to potentially have Norris here hold Sainz up a bit, create a little bit of a gap for us. Although I think we lost more time there than Sainz did. Because if we're going to keep battling Sainz, it's going to really, really cost us in terms of lap time. Now, Bottas is a good 5-second clear of the rest of the field. Show is still having a bit of a fight here with Sainz that isn't actually good for either of us. But Sainz decided that this is what we're doing, so we'll just have to deal with that. Because as I said, we just can't pull away. We just aren't quick enough. But then again, Bottas has proven that car is quick enough. Need a little bit work driver. Could probably put Show in a bit of a better strategy. Paid a little bit more attention to him because the main focus has been on Bottas. There's no denying that. We're also going to tune him down here. He has 8 seconds to Paris. No need to really take any risks at this stage. So we'll just do it like this. Just to be on the absolute safe side. And for Show here again now, we're just going to have to harvest and try and get this done into, again, the corner sections. And we're going to need the energy to pull that off. The main concern now is that because we have Sainz that we're running so close to, potentially the tire heating could go into a very, very, bad window for us. And catching the cars in front is basically a pipe dream at this stage because of, well, the fact that we are losing a lot of time battling Sainz. And Sainz decided that he was done battling us and pulled off a lockup. So yeah, we can be happy with that.
Now this, I think, was at turn 13. And the car fails to respond. Now they did leave...
Line's a bit wide. We'll take that. But yeah, this does open Show now up to just go full on attack. Try and catch up to the cars in front. But I think it's going to be a little bit too little too late. It's just 4 laps to go. 6 seconds. We are gaining, don't get me wrong. But I think because of, as I said, the battle that we had with Sainz in particular, it's just going to be a case of a little bit too little too late. Although the back markers have been giving us DRS now for the last couple of laps on that main straight, which of course has helped us massively. Now, there is one huge concern here, and that is the fastest lap. So, while we are a little bit too late to actually try it, we're just going to harvest. We're just going to, prep. Hopefully one of those back markers overtake us here. That's kind of the goal. No, you don't want to? Okay. And we're going to try and set a new fastest lap now with Show. And that is actually when the back marker decided to try and get the overtake done. Fortunately, we went behind the back marker at the DRS point. But yeah, fastest lap here. Kind of been a non-issue for us. And we couldn't actually pull it off. So, bit of a shame there. Yeah, not close apparently. I did kind of forget about that though, that we took it, but Bottas pulls off win in the opening race. Joe is going to come in at 5th place here. Honestly, I think that is a good start to the season. The 5th place, of course, would have loved to have it a little bit higher, but it is what it is.
What an excellent drive there from Valtteri Bottas.
But yeah, that does prove it. The car is very competitive at the start of Season 2. We should be able to snatch a championship here. Again, we did lose out a little bit due to the fastest lap. We're actually about 10 slower. Should have thought about that and just gotten it done immediately after getting the pit stop done. But that is on me. It's my error. In terms of the results here, we have Leclerc ahead of the Red Bulls. That benefits us greatly. We have Sainz in 6th, Alonso, Stroll, and then Gasly and Ocon. Then the 2 Williams cars, the AlphaTauris, then the Mercs. The Mercs did not have a good day. They did kind of get abused a lot. Or, you know, dish out abuse, either or. Haas and McLaren kind of where we expect them, unfortunately, but it is what it is. No big changes there. In terms of the Driver Championship then, 1st and 5th. In terms of the Constructors, we're 1st, but as you can see here, could potentially be a close fight, particularly if, say, Show crashes out a couple of times. What I say with the quickest pit stop, I assume Show had errors in both of his, seeing that he isn't on the board, and he is. Don't know how I missed this during the race itself, but yeah. Let's face it, Show has lost a good 6 seconds there, 7 seconds from pit stops. So he was in the fight per second, let's be honest there, if it wasn't for those arrows. Don't know how I missed him during the race. As I said, I probably need a bit of a mental break more or less. Because as I said, making these videos, these longer ones, is kind of taxing. Takes a lot out of me. So we'll have to see if for Monday maybe I take the day off and enjoy, say, some Starfield. Maybe we'll upload some of that to the channel as well later. But yeah, need potentially a bit of a break. Now, all the paths I did pass, as you can see, I did forget for practice 1 to switch the paths around. So we've done that now. But yeah, did lose a bit higher durability on the engine than we expected. Same with the gearbox, but it's honestly okay. We can deal with it. And yeah, that is honestly a good start to the season. I decided to show the first race mainly just so you can see just how much of an improvement the car really is. And we'll be continuing this series, of course, but as I said here, might take a break on Monday. Potentially because, as I said, I am tired but mentally and physically lately. I might need to just sit down, relax, and, you know, play something to more or less play it than to record it. Although, as I said, I do enjoy this, but I might have gone a little bit off the deep end and maybe made a little bit too much over the last month or so. So yeah, Monday probably, as I said, not gonna be recording. I'll have to see how I feel. But for now, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, helps me out a ton. And as you'll see here now, we do have a championship winning car with Alfa Romeo at the start of Season 2. It's still doable. So we'll have to see if we make a challenge series sometime later. Maybe a challenge series that combines a around the world challenge of some sort. But we're definitely going to be doing probably both of those at one point. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you around next time. Bye bye.